Hello, everyone. This is Simon from Finance Services Analytics Team LLC. I hope you had a great weekend. So last week, if you're looking at numbers, you actually always have volatility, but better than previous week. Number of items to touch base on in this video will be market recap, gold price, future prospect, and Omicron update in the U.S. and also in Hong Kong. Despite the volatility, Dow Jones was pretty flat over last week. This is what it looks like. Just to give you the idea. Actually, it's down a little bit, but really you can consider flat for a month though. It was rebounded by 3.03%, which is 1,023.61 up. Nasdaq was up slightly, as you can see, 0.59%, and in a month we recovered 5.34%, which is 723.56 points up from low in March. S&P 500 was up 4.7 points. China's financial hub of Shanghai launched a two-state lockdown of just 26 million residents on Monday. It was due to the outbreak of COVID. The number have increased and surged. So, I mean, that's just one of the things, different policy than how U.S. can handle the Omicron. So also, U.S. automaker Tesla, which is symbol TSLA, is suspending production in a factory located in a district impacted by the first stage of lockdown for 4 days. The 10-year U.S. Treasury yield was up 6 basis points on the day and rose to about 2.5567%, which is the highest level since May 2019. And actually, the number was also, maintained higher than low 2% over a week. Tesla stock raised high on news though that despite the lockdown, the company wants to split its stock into a form of stock dividend. Tesla said it will request shareholder approval for an increase in number of Tesla shares to enable a stock split in the form of stock dividend. We view Tesla's move following the likes of Amazon, Google, Apple, and initiating the second stock split in 2 years in a smart strategic move that will be a positive catalyst for shares going forward. Bush said in a note Monday reference to CEO Elon Musk. And in fact, I mean, if you look at the stock that was going down, that were having no good news. It was pretty bad last month. It was at the lowest at $700. And for those who even to listen to my video noting that I put a limit buy there and I got it, and then I sold it already about 1050. So right now it's about 1100, close to 1100 for Tesla. So we'll see how it goes. And obviously, you probably a good idea. Not let's say buy now, but on the day of the split, then you may buy it, and then you probably will have some day effect, just like Apple, just like Google, just like Amazon, you saw that the stock did have help, even though, again, I got to remind investors that the balance sheet didn't change, the income statement didn't change, nothing got changed, but the number of shares outstanding increased with the stock price being split or whatever the, half or 4 times, whatever they decide to do. And then you can see the graph too, right? Earlier, the market was down a trend on Monday. Oil prices dipped by more than 40% early on Tuesday, where U.S. benchmark WTI slumped to just below $100 a barrel, and that's what it ended. And it's like $99. End of that dated Brent is about $107 that close with. Tigris Financial raises price target on NVIDIA to $410 a share from $400, citing a new product launch and growing data center demand. FedEx, symbol FDX, was up more than 3% after logistics announced that founder and chief CEO Fred Smith will step down. Micron reports strong report and guidance. Lululemon beat on EPS and earnings per share announced a $1 billion buyback. Overall, the Dow Jones Industrial Average jumped over 300 points on Tuesday. You see that. U.S. stock fell again on Wednesday, snapping investor optimism surrounding ongoing peace talk between Russia and Ukraine. Fake. Alibaba is gaining exposure to the metaverse via $60 million funding round into AR glasses maker in real. And as you can see, Alibaba prices too, which from my previous video, you actually bidding down really low. In Hong Kong stock, it was gone down as low as 75,000, have rebound back to $100 in really a week. And right now it's still staying around the very momentumly, with strong about $110. So again, the stock was as high as $300, just something to think about. The Chinese e-commerce giant has already registered several trademarks, including on Metaverse. On Metaverse side, tied to cryptocurrency, Beat Hotel, you can look at BIT. Hotel game can make money seamlessly. Player compete to collect digital real estate as well as other NFT items and character to earn more income and display them to their friends. Each room, a common room in Beat Hotel, function as a chat room where users can hang out, communicate, or trade with other players. Player can also compete in mini games to earn token reward as well as redeem them for in-game asset. They can also be cashed out in the game, earning and receive BTH token. So this again, if you believe in Mark Zuckerberg, and look at the Facebook, which is now Metaverse, the stock price is driven up from, at the beginning, $40 the first day, and then drop it down to 19. From the 19, go all the way now as high as almost $400. You can see a really possibility of growth there, right? So if you trust this CEO and believe in the futures, where he reinvented this idea again, 40s or whatever you want to call it, with the glasses, someday you could be really potentially turn to profit and will be the future. So again, I like the stock FB and we'll see how it goes. I'm just want to give you another thing that how he actually with his business commingle and related to other industries as well as Alibaba. On Thursday, U.S. plan could see the U.S. release up to 180 million barrels of oil over several months, according to the report. President Biden is calling up on Congress to make companies pay fees on wells from the leases that they haven't used in years and not act as a public lender they are holding without producing, the White House said in a statement. Now, will that actually pass when that happens? I don't know, so we'll see. What kind of mechanism to drive that change and really have to pay for it? I don't know. So those are just you don't have to look at the lawmakers and policies, right? Because you think about that compared to China, when China make an announcement, we're saying that hey, they can do whatever they want, the government. So just put that in perspective. State Street, STT, Signature Bank, SBNY, and Bank of America (BAC) were the biggest decline of the day, down more than 4%. Chip stock were under pressure for it as an 8% rout in advanced micro devices. AMD after downgraded the chip maker. GameStop is up 15% in market, but actually ended 1% low on Friday. Labor Department said the U.S. economy at 431,000 jobs in March, which was below the forecast for 490,000 new payroll. Chinese stock lists on U.S. exchange surged on Friday after a report suggested authority Beijing will grant U.S. offers or auditor access to financial Chinese companies in order to prevent future delisting. For instance, Pinduoduo with simple PDD rose 6% to 42.65. Bilibili rose almost 8% to 27.62. DADA up 9% back to almost $10. XPE SamePay, which is the EV car, rose 5.8% to 29.19. BYDDF, which is where Warren Buffett have a lot of holding, rose 3.5%, etc. The holding foreign company assembly act took effect on December 18, 2020. Just to give you some history, it requires the SEC to identify public traded foreign companies on U.S. exchanges that will not allow a U.S. auditor to fully impact their financial book. Switching to gold, just to give you the diagram. Gold prices lost 1.4% to 1927.70 per ounce. Bitcoin turned higher, raising 9.9% to 46,387.87. And if you look at the graph here, just give you how gold prices have been trading recently. In short term, spot gold may struggle move between the 1970 to 1890 brand as the Federal Reserve tries to stop one away U.S. inflation in a series of rate hike. Well, that's just the downside. Breaking below 1890 can expose the metal to 1810, although a decisive break about 1970 can make a way up to 2050. So we are really close to 2000, just FYI. So if it continue to have the momentum go through it, that's perhaps the next healing is 2050. The 10-year yield typically runs contrary to gold direction and was up on Friday for the first time in 6 days. It is important for gold trader to once again focus on real yields for direction. The futures right now is, so that just gives you the idea, the upside and the downside, like the way I saying it. And so the people who asked me before in the video or offline, when it was 1800 plus, it's a good time to trade. The way I was telling them this, I'm seeing the 2000, so which is 10%. Well, if 10% is good enough for you, then yeah, you can consider buying that. But because that's pretty much what I'm thinking. The cryptocurrency as well, with the war going on between Russia and Ukraine at the time, it actually was rose up quite a bit for 48,000, but now and then you drop it back down, and now it's maintaining the level of around 4650, 500. So for the week, the future right now is mixed, but the Asian and the European market yet to open to better reflection for the better reflection. Most of the stock movement, just that surge or decline happen after or before the market. So if your account can trade before or after the market, it may give you a better advantage. And this is what I want to talk about next. But just to wrap it up, Tom Lee, which is one of the person I respect, he was getting it right for the last couple of years for the prediction. And at the Dow Jones, where he think the number should be 48,000, was kind of close, and didn't really get to that number. It's 40,000. Sorry, but didn't get to that number. It was landed above 36, very, very close to 36. The three reasons why he gave three reasons why stock actually posed for more upside despite inflation. To make his case, he highlighted the difference between nominal interest rate and real interest rate, which kind of, same thing with the gold. You need to think about that too. The latter, which take into account the rate of inflation, are still in the negative territory. So then the S&P 500 ended the quarter down a little over 4%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average and the Nasdaq Composite fell by 4.6 and 9.1 respectively. Stock in the quarter were buffered by the extreme volatility stemming from Federal Reserve monetary policy shift and the war in Ukraine and supply disruptions. And then the other one of the institutional investor also expected that the stock market will be in the range bouncing in 4,400, 4,600 on S&P range over the next few weeks as we're waiting for first quarter earnings season. We expect earnings season to be a positive catalyst for stock, and most companies benefit from a strong economy and wind down of the pandemic. So we'll see how resilient we are this time at the first quarter earnings going to be reporting and things are going well. And then the other number, just to show you, I have this graph a few weeks ago. So number of Americans quitting their job and still in the sky high and continue to rose it to 4.3 million. Just this is really provided by the statistic while we have a low unemployment rate. However, I wanted to say it again. The people from my friends, the people I know who lost a job, they're still looking for jobs. So even though the market continues to stay very strong and say no people have a hard time filling a job, it really depends on, number one, what kind of job really talking about, which a lot of time you see really the media didn't say it's the low end of job, which is like if you work in Starbucks, if you work in a retail, people need to open the door in the office and security guard and so on. Those low paid jobs. So, but in the office job, is actually it wasn't growing as quickly as was expected, and in some cases there's still job cut. So the people who are pre-pandemic versus now, if I bet if you take that part of people out there and do the survey, that you will have a different answer. But again, I don't do that, but I don't think the Statistics Bureau will provide that information either. But I can only share with you with friends that I know who are still looking for a job. Some of them actually they're not retiring, but they gave up. But then you will bucket as retirement. So that would be the number here why they the American quit the job. So just something to be really well aware of, because I'm still trying to look for, apparently a lot of people still looking for better jobs. So, but there's also other reason other than pay why people quit job too. Maybe people more enjoying a hybrid model or work from home 100%. So there's some company really actually asking people return to work, and they enjoy that kind of setting. For personal choice. So even with everything stay the same to pay, maybe even a little lower, they still consider saving the gas, which no gas price is surging, you're still better off with them. So again, the people in the marketplace, they shop around and looking at different options and possibility. And I hope the employer will recognize and acknowledge that to drive different ways to help people to get where they need to be, especially the manager be more flexible. So then, you will have a strong economy. Not having inflation continue because it's saying nobody, working and pay continue to go up. That kind of story. Another subject, which is last thing I want to cover, which is the pandemic numbers. In the U.S. We're showing the U.S. number first. CDC has updated recommendation for people over 50 with underlying medical condition that increase their COVID risk, and everyone over 65 to get a fourth dose of a mRNA vaccine from either Pfizer or Moderna at least 4 months after their first boost. Okay, 4 months after. I don't know about what Hong Kong said, how many months if you get shot and get another shot, or if you get COVID and you're immune, right? But this is where the guidance of the US CDC, just to bear that in mind. Adults who received primary vaccine and booster dose of Johnson & Johnson vaccine at least 4 months ago can also get a second booster, but only with Pfizer or Moderna product. Researchers suggest boosters are not as useful as that juncture for younger people whose immune system respond better to vaccine of the kind. Fifth boost shot is now available for some of the patients who are immunocompromised patients. That's what I said. Expert, I have a hard time saying that word. Expert actually in America concerned about Omicron mutant BA.2 may spread across the country. Despite that, United Airlines UAL holding the ground around $46 per week. NCLH was close to week around $22, and CCL was around $20, which is still better than at the time they were low at $16. And then we jump around to Hong Kong. COVID-19 infections are decreasing in Hong Kong, which is great news, with 8,027 new infections reported on average each day. And you can see, this was really definitely a spike up, and you go down to the line, which I have covered it up, but it's around March timeline, end of the week of March. Every day, this is daily because it's a cumulative number. Daily was around like 70,000 people were reporting that they were having COVID. And now you see this spike up to here. The peak is kind of slowing down. On a daily basis, you're going down about 7,000 on a 7-day average of 37, and new case around 6,000 a day, which is really a good news. But still, they're still trying to work on policy of tightening and perhaps just make sure everybody get tests. I do think that's a good idea. Just know how many people are infected, and people need to do the policy accordingly. Maybe to separate it 14 days to get fully recovered, so you don't pass on to your loved one or friends or relatives. And I said that before, because it's not. Definitely, it's not fun to get sick. Can be more severe than flu, or you can be really as sick as flu. For those who got flu, knew how they felt, and you coughing and fever and so on. And then at the same time, I also want to point out that in not just Hong Kong or China, but South Korea also have a very high cases, and there have been a lot of infections as well. You see that you actually have about 13.6 million cases with 16,000 people die in South Korea. So again, South Korea, I just want to give you a picture of, Asia was expanding. It's not just, media focus a lot on Hong Kong and China, but, other places as well. Again, I hope things will, in April, you will start to maybe eventually go back up when you get close to the earnings season. That's what kind of my expectations for the market, and the Chinese stock continue with the economy. Once the lockdown is going to reopen and continue to, and the economy resume with more positive, favorable policies, and I think the Chinese stock now have escaped from the delisting. You may be pulled back up further. Have a nice and wonderful week.